Here we are at New York Comic Con 2016. Chris Cologne for the Toonami Faithful podcast. And here I am with the voice cast of One Punch Man. And excuse me, pardon me as I refer to my notes, Erik Scott Kimerer as Speed of Sound Sonic, Chris J. Alex as Lord Boros, and Zach Aguilar Genos. Welcome, gentlemen, for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
So, how's your Comic Con so far? Here we are. We're day number 3. How's your Comic Con so far?
This is day number 1 for us, actually, but we just landed yesterday afternoon. So we've been taking in the sights in New York as best as we can in the limited time we've been having here. We went to the Nintendo store yesterday just to check it out.
Yep. Facts.
Yep, and then I went to go see Book of Mormon last night, because if I'm going to see any show, I'm going to see one of the best Broadway has to offer.
Gotcha.
Fun show.
Yeah, we just got here, so I had to get rid of my tickets for Hamilton, so I was scalping tickets. It's great being back to New York. So
like
if anybody looking for a Louis Vuitton bag, I got them on sale all day.
Got the Canal Street hookup.
Oh yeah, it's great to be here. Seeing the city. I've never been to New York City before. I have been to New York before though, but yeah, it's really cool. I've been sleeping it up. I'm still on California time. Little bit tired, but I don't know. I'm powering through. I had my Starbucks. I'm good.
We're all pretty voice actors are really responsible. We didn't rock out in that.
Yeah. Didn't party it up last night.
We went to bed early with fresh food.
I know. Who knows what could have happened, right? So many things.
Well, Comic-Con is an endurance test. This is day number 3 for me, and you're on your feet for 8 hours a day, and you're running around and seeing stuff, and I honestly don't think you can take it all in one day. So, but welcome on behalf of New York Comic Con as New York Comic Con ambassador. How does it feel to be to be the English cast of such a phenomenally loved and popular series? And how much fun is it working on a show like this?
It feels incredible, to be honest. I mean, I was a huge fan of the show before it even came out in Japan. There, I knew the manga, and I read a little bit of it, and then I kind of waited for the anime, and I watched the anime as it was airing in Japan, and it's just incredible. I mean, I just remember looking at artwork of Genos and being like, oh gosh, the guy who's gonna play this guy is gonna be so popular. This is gonna be such a cool show, and turns out that guy ended up being me. So it's still pretty surreal, just going to the cons, meeting the fans. Just even watching it on Toonami it blows my mind. It takes me back to when I was just a little kid and I was watching Naruto on there. And I'm just like, wow. It's crazy. It's such a blessing to be a part of.
Yeah, for me, it was. I mean, I'm the type of guy that the guy who hangs out at the discotheques, or not the discotheques, but the record shops, and he's looking through old records. I was doing that with Hulu, and I do that with a lot of anime because I like listening to the Japanese, and I kind of stumbled on One Punch Man. And then when I started watching it, I watched everything all the way through in Japanese. I was like, yo, this thing is amazing, because I was like, how are they gonna make this interesting? A guy who beats everybody in one punch, and I was hooked instantly. I was like, yo, this is good. And then, long story short, I got an audition, and I'm like, yo, I don't ask for much, but please let me get one. And it just so happened that it did happen twice in my career. Once when I played Tusk for Killer Instinct, because I was a big Killer Instinct fan, and then this one, One Punch Man. I was. It's a little surreal.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Surreal is a good word for it, because there's so much anime out there to take in nowadays, and there's so many different ways to access it with Crunchyroll and Hulu and everything. So it's hard to watch it all and be on the pulse of what everybody is seeing when you go to these conventions, because you see all these costumes that you have no idea, you're unfamiliar with. One Punch Man was one where usually I can only watch the flavor of the month animes. That's loath as I am to say that, but usually it's just the big popular buzzes that are around that I kind of catch wind of and sit down and watch. One Punch Man was one of those, and Lord, is it not flavor of the month? It's flavor of the century for me, because it is one of those shows that really reminds me why I love anime. Of course, it satirizes it, so it's a loving send-up to all the stuff I grew up watching. And now it's on Toonami, which, of course, I grew up watching Toonami.
Yeah, exactly.
Now people are growing up watching me, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, this is... a new experience, a new world.
Yeah.
Well, like Zach had mentioned, growing up watching Toonami, that was sort of my last question.
Yeah.
So Toonami is obviously, you guys have a hectic schedule, but
Yeah.
Saturday nights now. Well, you used to be after school, and Saturday nights now, is that part of the routine?
It is now, yeah. Like you said, Saturday nights after school, that was a lot easier to just kind of get off the bus and watch some Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball Z. So now you kind of got to plan for a late night on Saturday. I can do that. I'm an adult. I can stay up past midnight. So it's been so much fun to see the resurrection of Toonami and see all the new shows they bring in, all the old stuff they bring in, Dragon Ball Z. Now they have a new Gundam, which is kind of new and old. So it's just been amazing to see it all, and we do live tweets sometimes. Actually,
Yeah, I've been live tweeting the show since I think I might have been live tweeting the show since like the first episode, and then when Genos came in on the second episode, I've just been really like live tweeting ever since, every Saturday night. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like what Erik said too. Like sometimes you gotta plan, and sometimes I forget. I'm just like, oh wait, that's right, it's Saturday. Oh, I gotta make sure I'm watching it, or I'm not out late, or doing something else, because that's part of the schedule. That's part of, like, I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of like part of the job. Like you have to live tweet it, and you have to you have to interact with the fans. I mean, it's such a cool show, and like if you don't live tweet it now, it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something I feel like I'd regret not doing it.
It's part of the celebration.
Yeah, it's
too.
part of being a part of the cast, and it's really cool, like seeing what the fans say, and like what they people draw stuff for us and like send it to us and like just say funny stuff. It's just great.
Yeah, it gives the fans an extra little. It gives them an extra layer. It reminds me of like pop-up video from like. Except you're giving it like an insider view, sort of a director's commentary.
Yeah. We don't get to do a lot of cast commentary on anime, so this is about as close as I think we can get on it.
And that was my first time actually doing it. Was when the episode aired last Saturday. It's incredibly hard to watch it and keep up with the live tweets. But I mean, coming back to your thing with the Toonami, man, like I've been on Cartoon Network for, I don't know, I mean, back when Dexter's Laboratory was on, Powerpuff Girls, and it was funny because my dad grandfathered me into to Toonami. My mom grandfathered me into the comic books. My dad grandfathered me into Toonami. He was like, son, I want you to sit down. I want you to watch this. All right, first it was Dragon Ball Z, and then it was Yu Yu Hakusho, and then after that it was Rurouni Kenshin. And he was like, you have to sit down and watch them all. And after that it was hooked. So being able to see it after all that is just it's incredible.
Now, when you live tweet, because you're live tweeting from the West Coast, I'm assuming.
West Coast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I mean, the East Coast people, I guess they have to stay up an extra 3 hours, DVR it and watch it again. So you could.
Usually, I try to at least find a friend that has an East Coast stream of it or something like that, because usually you can get like a cable that has an East Coast version of their channel. So
right. Yeah,
usually try and do that.
And see, here on the East Coast, that concept just doesn't exist.
No.
Like I have other friends on the West Coast, people on the podcast who they tap into the East Coast stream, and here in New York City, I'm like, what? You can get stuff from other parts of the country.
Fabulous time to live.
Which are your favorite characters on One Punch Man in the universe, other than your own, obviously?
I'd have to probably go with Pooty Pooty Prisoner, just by sheer comedy's sake. He was the most unexpected thing I think that could have come out of that show, and just layer upon layer of surprise. Like, okay, you see this big guy, Pooty Pooty Prisoner. Okay, that's kind of funny. His name is kind of funny, and his mannerisms are kind of funny. And then full naked mode, and you're just like, okay, this is just hilarious. This is way too much.
Yeah, I'm torn, man. Silver Fang is just dope. Silver Fang is dope. Just cause, I mean, just the way he animates. I like old Shaw Brothers Kung Fu stuff, and a lot of his lines remind me of that, reminiscent of that. I love Genos' character because that's where all the meat of the fights are. That's where you get to see the crazy back and forth. Because with Sci-Fi, he just knocks him out. It looks dope, but like that's where all the cool fights are. But I also have to say, probably Moomin Rider, man, just heartstrings, man. Like, when he just the Deep Sea King part when he was trying to fight him. It's like he's not like a super dude, but he's got heart, and that to me is all like everything, because it's like, if you got heart, you can. It's what matters, man. So for me, Movement Rider probably.
So, Zach, who's your favorite character other than yourself?
Yeah, what Chris said is like whenever people ask me this, Moomin Rider for sure.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, watching the show, I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, this guy's like worthless, and it's just like so weird and like funny, and I had this total like opinion of him, and I thought it was never going to change, and then then the Sea King fight came along, and I mean it turned into something that was incredible. I mean, I was like, wow, this character, like, I don't care if he loses every fight, if he gets beaten up, I don't, like, none of that even matters, because he's just so cool, like, the way that he talks to speech, like, I don't know, just, it blew my mind, like, he won that fight in itself, no matter what,
He's Rocky.
Yeah.
He's Rocky, man. I love him.
And so, okay, let's just say you can pick and choose your own superpower. And I'm sorry if this is a question you guys probably had to answer a bunch of times. What would be your superpower?
I would pick. You know what? I did this last time, so I'm gonna repeat myself on this one. I would be Soundwave. I would be able to make my voice mimic any voice or do anything I want with it. Like, I can go as deep as I want, as high as I want, and then I put everybody else out of a job. I just do the voiceover myself. I do the one-man show.
Hit the brown note.
Yeah.
Me, flying. It's always it's the ultimate, man. If you could fly. Yeah, I don't even have to explain that, because everything's
After sitting in West Coast traffic, I can only imagine flying.
West Coast and East Coast. Good Lord.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can't. New York City, FDR Drive is like, is there ever not going to be construction on the FDR Drive? Sorry, a little New York City humor.
Gosh. Oh, I'll just steal Max's on this one. Flatulence, man. Oh. I think like, what'd be cool? I'm like torn between two. Like, one would, I really like, like the whole fire deal, like being able to shoot like fire out of your hands is like pretty epic. Like Avatar, like firebending is really cool. I think, but one other thing I think would be really cool is like space and time, and being able to like, like warp time, or like, I don't know, like warp something in time, and like maybe change specific things or whatever, I don't know, but then you'd be like God, wouldn't you? Like, so I don't know, call me Wormhole Boy.
That sounds a lot dirtier than what I was thinking. And okay, what are some of your favorite moments from the series, I guess?
Again, pretty present. Probably the whole Deep Sea King arc, I'd say. The whole arc there is really, really cool. Just because Deep Sea King is this imposing threat, this really big guy that in any other anime, he would be like the full season. He'd be there causing havoc and be this overarching presence throughout it, this overbearing presence. But, of course, this is One Punch Man, so it has to finish up in just one punch. But the whole build-up to it was really well put together. Just the fight with I forget his name, the Lightning Spark guy. Lightning Max, that was it. Yeah, Lightning Max. His fight with Lightning Max, to his fight with Sonic, to his fight with Pretty Prisoner, and then Moomin Rider. It just builds up so well.
Yeah.
Man, that Moomin Rider moment, like, all day. It's just, probably that. And, okay.
Yes.
Okay. That part.
Yeah, the Moomin Rider moment, and then I always thought the mosquito one was really cool, like Mosquito Girl, even though that's like a really early episode, and then like, oh, bugs, they suck, and you know what I mean? That was cool. But yeah, I'd say Moomin Rider moment for sure.
What about honorable mention? Honorable mention, the gentleman who voices Piccolo.
Chris Sabat.
Yeah, Chris Sabat.
Chris Sabat,
The first time you see the guy who looks like Piccolo and it's actually Chris Sabat.
There's a lot of really cool casting in the show.
Yeah.
There's a very Piccolo-looking like character, Chris Sabat, as I mentioned.
Sabat.
There's a Titan character played by Bryce Papenbrook, and there's a giant Beast King played by Leomon, Paul St. Peter. So it's really cool casting.
All right, so we're about to wrap this up. Now, basically, my last question was going to ask you guys about Toonami. So, but you just mentioned about people that you've worked with in the booth. Any interesting voice actor booth stories?
Well, interestingly, actually, we don't work a lot in the booth together. Is that a lot of the time we're one at a time doing it line by line, individually. Usually we'll get into the booth together when we're doing American animation, prelay, or Walla, when we have to fill in the background noises. So they'll get a group of people together to just do crowd noises for a scene, for like a crowd in the stands or a classroom or something like that. Those times you really can't hear what they're saying, so sometimes actors will have a little fun with that. I remember a developer friend of mine, a game developer friend of mine, we were just talking about his video game in the background of an anime. Just like, oh, you got this new like rhythm pattern game? Oh yeah. Shameless plug in there for that.
So, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
No.
Was it like
Well,
like
it was
voiceable
any
movie?
interesting stories as being a voice actor? I mean, you know,
Okay,
with other actors, crazy directors,
A ton of stories.
yeah,
Just voiceover.
even
Just
wild
voiceover?
food
Okay.
service stories, anything.
Just voiceover, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay. All right. I do have a story. I'll give you two. One of them will be quick. So, I mean, there's Zack Snyder doing ghetto push-ups on ghetto pull-ups on Batman vs Superman. He's a fit guy, so he in between takes sometimes he would be doing pull-ups in the middle of Detroit.
What, like a lamppost or something like that?
No, like on like a street light, like straight get up, like he's a fit dude. There's the first time I met Melissa Benoist on because I did stunt work on Supergirl, and the first time I ever met her, we were in harnesses, and they raised me up because we have a fight scene. Then they raised her up and they stopped her waist height, which is. You don't want to meet anyone at waist height. It's just awkward. So I'm like, I'm trying to be professional. Hey, nice to meet you. Can you please raise her up? And then in the booth, my first job I ever had in the booth was it was a video game called Jumper from the movie. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was funny because I seen on the call sheet Kari Payton, and he voices Cyborg from Teen Titans, and that was like my show, and that was like my first thing. So after I did my thing, I was like, hey, can I just stay behind and meet this dude? And then I met Kari Payton, and that's those are my stories.
Yeah, I do have this weird story, and it kind of started like a trend over at the studio, and it's drinking weird soda. Yeah. So basically, what happened was I was in the booth one day, funny enough, recording one of the Sea King arc, and an intern brings in some soda, and I'm getting ready to record my lines, and minutes go by and nothing's happening. Like I'm all focused, I'm ready to do it, I'm ready to go into like all the emotional and like just get beat up by Sea King, and I look to the left and I see Chris and the engineer making very weird faces, and so they're like.
They've been doing that through my sessions too.
Yeah, like they're gonna like they're making like really weird faces, like they're like disgusted with something. I was like, what's going on? And then I see them like holding the soda, and so I look over and I'm like what's going on? And so then they because unless they press like the little intercom button, you can't hear anything that they're saying or doing. So like I'm just looking through glass, like just seeing their weird reactions. I'm like. I was like, guys, hello? Like, what's going on? And so then like, oh, Zach, great, you're in there. You're in the booth. You're recording. Oh, okay. Anyways, there's this intern, and she brought in peanut butter and jelly flavored soda.
What?
And so here's the thing. They tried it and they said, okay, you have to try this. This is the worst, god awful soda like I've ever tasted. And so I'm like, wait, what? Why is it so bad? Like it's peanut butter and jelly. Why is it so bad? And they said, oh no, it tastes like sewage water, and like it tastes like sewage water. And if you were to like lick like an old grandmother's couch, maybe like a little smoky or something, like put a little bit of that in there. But it was just like, and so they brought it in and I tried it, and it was terrible.
They keep trying to make me.
Not peanut butter.
Yeah, it was. So that was just one of the weird stories, and it's so funny. And then like minutes later, I look over into the booth and I see Chris is still drinking the soda, and I'm like me and the engineer are like, Chris, why are you drinking that crap? Like and Chris is like, well, it's just kind of like one of those things, like where you like you drink the soda, you know how like if somebody likes a food or whatever, then maybe you'll keep trying it to try to like figure out why they like it. And so he kept drinking it to figure out like,
why he didn't
like
like
glutton
it.
for punishment.
No, yeah, he's like, why do they make this? He keeps drinking it, and I'm just like, are you insane? Like this, it's terrible. It's not. I took one sip, and the taste stayed in my mouth.
You're braver than I am. Chris tried to make me try the bacon stuff.
Ew.
Yeah.
You didn't do
No, I bowed out of that one as quick as I could.
Yeah, good. Good on you.
It's like onion berry Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Honorable mention. It took me 20 times to say Gory Boros. I still can't. Try saying Gory Boros in a sentence.
Gory Boros?
Gory Boros. Shut up. Oh my God. It was so hard.
Gory Boros?
Gory Boros or Gory
the alien, the alien, the octopus guy.
Oh,
I
Boros.
could not say his
Gory
name.
Boros.
You Gory Boros. Couldn't do it. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so that was it. I could not say it. Stop.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Erik, Chris, Zach, once again, Speed of Sound, Sonic, Lord Boros, and Genos. I want to thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for having us.
On behalf of the Toonami Faithful Podcast, this is Chris Cologne saying, don't be a stranger.